Hey everybody, this is Bill Dozer for another Universal Battle report for Outlanders Gaming, and today I'm going to be playing Briomar. He is a player on Universal Battle from Alaska. His name is Rob Allen, and he is playing Abyssals today. So this will be very interesting since I haven't played against Abyssals before. The great thing about playing on Universal Battle is getting to play against players all around the world, and getting to play someone in Alaska is actually really fun and really cool. So it was a lot of fun to play this game, and let's just kind of get into it.
All right, so on the left-hand side, they're tortured souls. They are flying, so they're speed 10. They can be surged, although I don't think he has any surge in his army. But they're CS2, they have fury, and they are ridiculous. So, pretty good unit. His next unit here is a unit of gargoyles, and they're just speedy kind of speedy unit that gets in the way and is kind of, one of those units that you use for chaff. Then he's got flame bearers. They're kind of a shooty unit. Actually, in between the gargoyles and the flame bearers, he's got what's called an Ifrit, which this was my first time facing an Ifrit. It's a Fireball 20 leader unit in his army, and it is just ridiculous. It shoots the crap out of everything. So yeah, Fireball 20, kind of scary. Yeah, but then he's got his flame bearers next to them. Then he's got standard bearer. I know he put like some kind of little one-shot item. I think it might be the flying hammer. I can't remember. He put it on that unit. Maybe it came with an upgrade. But I remember his standard bearer had one shot. Then he had some lower Abyssals. They're just kind of the basic soldiers in the Abyssals army. Oh, and then he had 2 units of Succubi. Succubi have Ensnare, and they are ridiculous. They're really good units. Then he had a mage in there. All I remember is it had Bane Chant. I can't remember the specifics on it, but he had a mage in between those 2 units of Succubi. Then he had some Hellhounds over there on the right-hand side, his left flank. And then Flying Abyssal, it was basically just a flying Abyssal with Crushing Strength 2 and some other things. And then he had Abyssal Horsemen, which were, he put the Potion of the Caterpillar on them, so they had Pathfinder. They had like TC2 and Crushing Strength and Ridiculous, so they were really good. And then just another unit of Gargoyles there to annoy me with. So he had a pretty good setup there. I was looking at his army and going, okay, I don't really know what to do here, but I'm going to try. So on my side, I just went with the Revenant Cavalry because they have Potion of the Caterpillar themselves and they're Pathfinder. So I was just like, let's get them behind the woods so that way his flyers will have to deal with them one way or another. My Revenant King's right there to kind of support them. Then I took a unit of skeletons this time. I know usually I take 2 units of trolls, but this time I decided to mix things up a bit and take some skeletons with undead giant rats, and so that'll be fun. They're just kind of a unit that I can go get stuck in with, and they should be able to take a beating. Then I take my zombie trolls. I always love my zombie trolls. The Necromancer, the Zombie Legion, like I usually take, and like Canis and Werewolves with not TC2, but Crushing Strength 2, because I took the Brew of Strength on them. My Wraiths, which with Blessing, so they have it elite, and then the usual Vampire Dragon with Ensorcelled Armor. So there we go. That is my army. So let's go ahead and get things started here with turn 1. Okay, on turn 1, he just kind of moved up with all of his army. I think I won the with the roll off, but I went ahead and said, "Hey, go ahead and take the turn 1 because I really want you to take turn 1 so I can see what you're going to do." Number 1 and number 2, I wanted to go last since this was a objective scenario. So he just kind of flew everything up and kind of challenged me to charge it, was kind of the thing. He very wisely moved up on his right flank, the left side of the screen. Those flyers to just kind of get him in position and tempt me to go into the woods. I really didn't want to because, yeah, look at that. That doesn't look like a good situation. Here is my turn 1. And I just kind of moved up my Revenant Cavalry to challenge him to come into the woods or come on the other side of the woods, because I was either going to charge him once he entered the woods, or if he tried to come into my back lines, I was going to try and get in position and have the Revenant King surge a flank charge or rear charge or whatever he presented to me. Then my skeletons, my zombies, everybody just kind of moved up. My dragon and my werewolves and Lycanus kind of moved up out of range of their charges, but kind of in a support role for my wraiths, because my wraiths went in on his gargoyles just to take them out. I think this might be a trade. Not a very good trade, because his are way less expensive than my wraiths are. But I kind of figured the only way to kind of take this right flank was to kind of go in and do my thing here. Otherwise, I could have sat back and just gotten charged by gargoyles the next turn, but where's the fun in that? Okay, so there's that turn. We keep going, and all right, so I just surged up my my skeletons here with my Revenant King. That was kind of my shooting phase. Just moved up to kind of get into position, tried to stay outside. Luckily, my surge didn't put me into charge range of his succubi, which I was afraid of, but that didn't happen, luckily. Okay, we go to the end of the turn here, and it is just my wraiths took care of business, took out those gargoyles, and that was what they were supposed to do, so they did their job. Okay, the next turn, as you can see, he just charged the living you-know-what out of my wraiths with everything, which I kind of expected him to do that. I kind of decided to kiss my wraiths goodbye, as I like to say, because they're gonna die. They're getting triple charged. There's nothing that can save them. At that point, he also moved his gargoyles back into my back lines. I'm hoping that my Revenant King will survive the shooting from the Ifrit at this point, because if the Ifrit wavers or shoots the crap out of my Revenant King, my Revenant Cavalry will not be able to deal with those gargoyles, which I'm really hoping they can. Otherwise, they're already in my back lines. This is a bad situation. I'm really, really not looking forward to getting stuck in with his Lost Souls over there, because they are just a unit that can wreak havoc. Now, if I were him, I would have brought the Lost Souls out into my back lines as well. But actually, I don't think he could have gotten there, because I guess he's shambling. You're right. Okay. So, shambling. Yeah, shambling is a thing. And I know all about it. Anyway, so he probably couldn't have gotten in a good spot. So he probably left them there with good reason. But anyway, here's what he's doing. He's charging me. He's getting in position to shoot the crap out of me. And he's in my back lines. Bad news bears. Okay, so here's a shooting phase. He managed to put 4 damage onto my Revenant King, and he put 4 damage onto my zombie trolls. So those were just markers he put on there, reminding himself to roll for nerve, which he didn't manage to do anything to either of them, which was great. Although a Bane-chanted Ifrit, ooh man, that is trouble. But yeah, he only managed to do 4 damage to my Revenant King. I thought it was going to be way more. And usually I'm okay with people taking pot shots at my Revenant King. It's more I'm afraid of them getting my Necromancer, because my Revenant King is a 14-16 nerve, so he's got a pretty high nerve for being just an individual. So I usually am okay if people want to try that out, but I get a little nervous when it's 20 shots from an Ifrit. Yow. All right, so here's what happened in the combat phase. Those wraiths that I thought were going to disappear magically survived. I was like, wow. He did 13 damage to them, and he only needed a 16 to rout. And I think he rolled double ones on that, so it was just, they stuck around, man. So I was really happy. I was amazed. I was like, okay, I'm going to get a countercharge with these guys. So that shouldn't have happened, but it did. So even though I played that really stupid, I am getting lucky, I guess, this turn. So that's what happened. They just pushed back an inch, and now all of my right flank is going to get to charge him. So that's great. Right flank is looking pretty good now. Got some juicy targets there. Left flank, I'm a little worried, although my Revenant King is okay. And since it's just shooting, it doesn't disrupt my Revenant King. You got to actually charge him to keep him from shooting. So I'm going to go ahead and surge my Revenant Cavalry into those gargoyles next turn. And that's going to be great because I think I can get a rear charge on that. So here we go. Okay, so bottom of turn 2. And we've got just a lot of charges over here. I went ahead and charged in my countercharged my wraiths into those horsemen over there and just kind of tried to tie them up. I'm probably not going to kill them in a turn, but at least I'll put some damage on them. My dragon, I just wanted to get in and do some major damage onto that winged beast thing that he's got. And then my werewolves, they went ahead and charged the hellhounds there. Now, if I was smart, I would have done this a lot differently. I should have countercharged the wraiths into the hellhounds because they could have taken them out easily, and my werewolves should have charged the horsemen, the abyssal horsemen. That would have been a much better move. But hindsight being 2020, that's what I did. So then my Lycanus kind of moved up in support, kind of getting ready to take on some flanks if needed. My trolls and my skeletons, they both had hindered charges because they're moving through those walls. But they went ahead and charged both of the succubi units, which is probably not the smartest move on my part since they have ensnare, but I did it anyway just to kind of get them stuck in. My zombies, they did some weird turn thing. I mean, all right. I'm looking at this hindsight 2020 and a lot of this stuff was just dumb, but I did it anyway. All right, and something that was not dumb was I got my Revenant Cavalry in position to go ahead and rear charge those gargoyles so that they wouldn't be a problem the next turn. So my Revenant King's there, ready to go, and we're in business. So here is the result of all that craziness. Just surged them right into the rear there, and that's what happened. And then I went ahead and Bane chanted my skeletons. So they got Bane chant on them from my Necromancer. Just trying to get some sort of extra damage on those succubi, which, we'll see. Okay, here's the results of combat. A whole bunch of slap fighting occurred. So I did 2 whole damage to those abyssal cavalry, the horsemen. I managed to do 7 damage with my dragon, but I did not rout his abyssal flying guy. My werewolves, they killed the hellhounds, which was great. I managed to do 0 damage with any of my trolls, which was a total flop. They're hitting on 4s, 18 attacks, which actually they were hitting on 5s because they were, or actually no, 6s because they were going through, I think they charged through that wall. And then they were also hindered. They were hindered and they were ensnared. So that was 6s. And then actually, I think my skeletons, which did 5 damage, which was hilarious, they were hitting on 7s. So their attacks went from 30 to 15, and they were hitting on 6s. And I still managed to do 5 damage. So that unit got an A+. My zombie trolls, not so much. Luckily, my Revenant Cavalry were able to take care of business on those gargoyles, so I destroyed 2 units, but still a lot of slap fighting, and now my skeletons are going to get charged to Kingdom Come here. So, and my zombies are in just a terrible position right now, so I don't know. Maybe not terrible, but not great. Okay, let's see what happens to me. Alright, so Briomar brought on the pain. He countercharged my wraiths, which are probably dead at this point because they had 13, but they went back down to 12 after I life leeched, but still, that's not a good situation. His abyssal flying guy, he flew right over my dragon and just got out of dodge. He was like, I don't want to mess with this. My units, my trolls got countercharged by succubi, no bueno. And my skeletons just got all sorts of charged by his lower abyssals, his succubi, and his flame bearers. So I am really in trouble there. Yeah, so that's kind of the turn. I was kind of curious why he was keeping his lost souls back there, but I think he just kind of figured I've got things in check here. I've got things well on hand, and I'll just be threatening with these guys, which was also smart. Just because he had to protect his Ifrit there. Also, it's just all sorts of carnage going on here. So anyway, that's his turn there of movement. I guess we're on turn 3, top of turn 3 here. His combat, or no, this is his shooting. He actually shot my Revenant King off the table. That was a big bummer for me. So he shot my Revenant King, killed him, and that was a thing. So bye bye Revenant King. The end of the turn, he actually managed to do 17 damage to my skeletons and did not rout them, which was amazing to me. He did not have very good route rolls this game, which was good because I needed to stay in this game because I was making tons of stupid mistakes. Anyway, yeah, so they stuck around, which was great because now I can maybe get a flank charge on his flame bearers with my Revenant Cavalry, and then my zombie trolls got killed really bad by his succubi, which I didn't really expect them to die that quickly, but yeah, succubi have a lot of attacks and they're really great in combat, and I did not realize just how good they were. So it's looking like my zombies are going to tangle with his succubi, which is fine. I'll get them stuck in. And then, I've got my wraiths over here on the right-hand side that got just slaughtered by those abyssal horsemen. So that was also a thing. That was a bummer. Okay, so next turn, I went ahead and charged into his abyssal horsemen with both my dragon and my werewolves, just because I needed them to die. I didn't want to mess around with it anymore, and I needed it to happen. So I just wanted to just kill the living crap out of them. So then we've got my skeletons charged right into his lower abyssals. I was just like, I need to take care of them. They're a problem. Then my Revenant Cavalry charged his flame bearers just because it's like, here, I got a flank attack. Let's take care of that. That sounds great. And my zombies just kind of moved into position to I was going to have a frontal charge, but then I moved them into position to where I could surge them with my Necromancer so I'd get a flank charge. And my Lycanus just kind of, he was going to charge in the front, but then he was like, hey, I could actually come up here and actually this was a really bad move for me. I forgot about this. I shouldn't have moved my Lycanus there, but I did, and it just opened up his flank to a charge from that abyssal flyer there. I don't even know why I did that, but I did. It was like, I don't know. Super bad move. I'm going to get charged in the flank by that flyer. I wasn't thinking. I made lots of bad moves this game. That was one of them. There you go. Okay, so my surge got me into the flank of that succubi unit. It's pretty funny. Okay, after combat, my dragon and my werewolves managed to kill the abyssal horsemen. That was awesome. My flank attack only did 8 damage and wavered the succubi. Did not kill them, which I was kind of bummed out about because I really wanted them to die. Now I was worried about getting charged in the flank from my zombies, but then I was like, no, he's got more of a chance of killing my Lycanus than he does my zombie horde, even with doubled attacks, so that's probably still going to happen. I only did 6 damage to his abyssals, or his lower abyssals, so they stuck around as well. And then I did kill the flame bearers, but now I'm looking at my Revenant Cavalry getting charged by his tortured souls, so that's also a bummer. So we're kind of getting down to the nitty gritty here. Some of my units are dying, some of his units are dying. Here we go. His next turn, sure enough, his tortured souls charged my Revenant Cavalry. I was like, oh great, they're gonna die. So then his units charged my skeletons again, both his succubi and his lower abyssals. Once again, yep, they're going to die. Okay, this time for sure. His succubi found out that they had fury, so they could countercharge. So they just went right into my zombies. And sure enough, his abyssal flying dude, he went right into my flank there. So that's going to be bad for me. Okay, and his shooting phase, he actually moved his Ifrit in between those two units I had, my skeletons and my Revenant Cavalry. It was really close. I didn't really expect him to do that. He also Bane chanted it with that caster there. And while I was kind of like, okay, that's a little whatever, but I just let it go. He put 5 damage on my Necromancer. I thought he was going to run away. Magically, he stuck, which was great because I was like, okay, I'll take it. I'm getting lucky this game. But sooner or later, my luck's bound to run out here. Okay, so after combat, he managed to kill my skeletons, which was a bummer. He did not kill my Revenant Cavalry. I fully expected them to get slaughtered, but they didn't get slaughtered. It was amazing. He did so much damage. He did 14 damage to my zombies with his succubi. They've got so many attacks. They're so good. Abyssals, I would just take succubi all day. That's a great list. And then his abyssal flyer dude just killed the crap out of my Lycanus. That's just how it works. Okay, so we're getting down to it now. We're both killing each other off. My next turn, my werewolves charged his flying abyssal dude. My zombies and my vampire on dragon charged his succubi. And my Revenant Cavalry countercharged his tortured souls. So there you go. That is what happened. Okay, for shooting, I tried to Bane chant my Revenant Cavalry. I'm not sure if I did or not. I can't remember, but we'll find out once the damage shows up. Okay, I managed to do all sorts of damage and waver his Abyssal Flyer dude. Only wavered it, didn't kill it. That was a really big bummer for me. I wanted that thing to die. My Vampire Lord and the zombies killed the succubi, but we still got another troop of those left. Another, actually, regiment of those to deal with. I did 5 damage to the Tortured Souls. Was not able to do anything to them except for a little bit of damage there. They're going to come back and slaughter me next turn. So, things are dying slowly, but we're kind of in a little melee here in the middle. And we need to get to objectives because this is going to be the top of turn 5 here coming up for him. Okay, top of turn 5 for him. He just went ahead and countercharged my Revenant Cavalry, and then he flank charged my Revenant Cavalry with his lower Abyssals. So that's going to be really bad for me. The only thing I've got going for me is he's charging through that wall, so it's going to be hindered. He went ahead and charged my zombies with his super killy succubi that have 1,000,000 attacks. Then he countercharged my werewolves with his crazy dude there, the flyer. Turns out that he also has fury, so that's a thing. Oh, and then I'm pretty sure that he shot my necromancer to death a couple of turns ago, but I may not have said that. So anyway, he's dead. Okay, here's the next part of that after combat. That may have just happened in that shooting phase, but yeah, he shot my necromancer to death. He only got my Revenant Cavalry up to 8 damage. I thought they were dead for sure, but they weren't. That's amazing. I'm really happy about that. He killed my Zombie Legion, which this is definitely a cool game because my Zombie Legion doesn't die that often. So, he's a good player if he can kill off my Zombie Legion. Good job. All right. And then he just kind of decided to turn and face my dragon because my dragon's right there. And then he did 2 damage to my werewolves with his Abyssal Flyer dude. Nothing crazy. All right, my next turn. I went ahead and just flew right over his succubi because I was like, forget that noise. And I rear charged his lower abyssals because that was a really juicy target. I'm height 4. I can see over those succubi, and I'm going to charge what's the best target for me. I went ahead and countercharged his lower abyssals there, and I figured, hey, I'll get a point back and maybe hurt them. My werewolves, they charged that flying thing and tried to kill it. Let's see what happens. Can't remember. Yep, I killed it. My werewolves killed it, and that was that. I managed to do, I think, like a couple points of damage to his tortured souls, but not enough to really do much. My vampire dragon killed the crap out of his abyssal lower abyssals, so that was awesome. And that's kind of how the turn went. So I'm feeling pretty good about this because I've got 3 units that can score, and he's got 2. So I can probably, and I angled my vampire dragon at the end of that over towards one of the objectives so that I could fly over there, get that bottom right one. My werewolves can back up and get the top right one. And then my Revenant Cavalry can fight it out or whatever they need to do to try and get on the same objective as this Tortured Souls unit. Because he's got a bunch of little guys, but they're not very fast, and I think that those right side objectives could be mine. We'll see. Okay, so here is what his turn 5 looks like. Or no, his turn 6, rather. This is turn 6 for him. And he is just kind of flying out of the way, trying to get that objective. So he's got one objective with his Tortured Souls over there, right? And then I am getting charged. My werewolves are getting charged by his succubi, which is a bummer for me because I don't want them to die. I want to go get that objective. But right now, with the way I see it, if my Revenant Cavalry don't get shot to death, they're going to be able to go get that top left objective, and then my vampire can get the bottom right objective, and then I'm winning right there. So let's go to the next part here. After combat, he only did 5 damage to my werewolves, which is awesome. I'm okay with that. I'm going to be able to take like 2 or 3 objectives here and win the game at the bottom of turn 6. Here's my turn 6. I got my Revenant Cavalry up there within 3 inches of the top left objective, which means 1. I got my werewolves right on top of that objective on the top right, which is 2, and then my vampire dragon on the bottom right objective, which is 3. So it's 3-1 right now. If the game ends here, I've won the game, which is great. Now what I should have done is countercharged my werewolves into those succubi and killed them or gotten them really close or something, because right now, with the way things are, that would have prevented him from getting close to that objective. I mean, he could have overrun and maybe made it there, but this just opens him up. If he shoots that Revenant Cavalry unit, it's going to die. If he kills those werewolves, they're going to die. Charges them with the succubi. I mean, right now I'm looking at this in hindsight. I usually don't have games go over 6 turns. But, you know, you look at it, it's a 50-50 shot. This was a learning experience for me. And when the game goes over 6 turns, you learn a lesson, especially if you're winning 3-1, that you should always plan for turn 7. So, anyway, here's the next turn. Because guess what? It did go to turn 7. We rolled for it, went to turn 7, and now Briomar is capitalizing on this. So he is charging my succubi, or charging my werewolves with his succubi, which is kind of a bummer. So my werewolves are getting charged, and I mean, usually I'm like, okay, succubi aren't going to do that much to my werewolves, but he could get lucky. As for my Revenant Cavalry, they're going to get shot to hell by his Ifrit. They are not going to survive. They only have 16 nerve, and they're at 11. So, well, I've got a couple scenarios that I could still win, but I'm in a much worse position here. So, here's what happened after shooting. Well, he shot my Revenant Cavalry off the table. Uh-oh, I'm back down to 1-2-1. Uh-oh. This is not looking good. Combat phase. Oh, he killed my werewolves. and he's got them within 3 inches of that objective. 2-1. Uh-oh, he's winning. All right, so here's my last ditch effort here. Was I flew my dragon up to try and kill his succubi, and then I was going to try to overrun and get over to that top right objective to try and at least tie it. Turns out that even with my last ditch effort and saying, oh, there might be a snowball's chance in hell that I can make this work, nope, couldn't make it work. So I rolled like a 1 for my overrun, still wouldn't have gotten me there. And guess what? Briomar, Mr. Allen, you are the winner. So that was a really good game. 1-0 in favor of him. I learned some valuable lessons. It was a well-fought game. I'm very happy with the way it went, other than, hindsight is always 20/20, but he played an excellent game. He outplayed me. He did a lot of things smart when I did things very dumb, but overall a great game. I had a lot of fun. So thanks for the game, Briomar, and bring it on again. I'd love to do a rematch. All right, have a great one, everybody. Great talking to you, and I hope you enjoyed this battle report.